Hello, cool family. Like and subscribe to the channel to know everything about Barcelona. In this video, we have a huge bombshell for our beloved club. But first, let's talk about other very important topics. Let's move on to the first one. Barcelona has decided to make a big splash and is doing so with the determination of those who refuse to see the great talents of European football slip away. This time, the club is ready to shake up the market and snatch a transfer from its eternal rival, a transfer that the capital considered a done deal. We are talking about Álvaro Carreras, the young left-back from Benfica, one of the great revelations of Portuguese football, who has been closely followed by Real Madrid as well as other major clubs on the continent. But in the last few hours, the course of this story has radically changed. Carreras, who had 1 foot and a half in the Bernabeu, has decided to look towards Camp Nou. And Barcelona, without delay, has responded firmly. Not only has it entered the race, but it has taken control. For weeks, Barcelona's sports management had Carreras in their sights as a strategic option. His youth, projection, and versatility made him an ideal reinforcement for a position that requires power, tactical intelligence, and offensive capability. But it was the new coach, Hansi Flick, who really launched the operation. The German coach immediately approved the transfer after analyzing the player's reports and videos. And that's not all. He asked the management to make the necessary effort to bring him in this summer. Flick considers that Carreras has the exact qualities to fit into his scheme: intensity, defensive aggression, clean ball handling, and tireless endurance. A perfect profile for modern football, where fullbacks must be much more than just defenders. The surprise in Madrid has been enormous. In the capital, they were already talking about Carreras as a future white player. Some media even gave the agreement as concluded, but they forgot something essential: the desire of the footballer. And it is that Álvaro, regardless of economic offers or promises of playing time, knew clearly where he wanted to be. He commented on it in his entourage, made it known to his agents, and now confirms it with his stance. He wants to wear the Blaugrana jersey. The full-back admires the club's history, its playing philosophy, its offensive style, and the courage with which it bets on young players. He knows that in Barcelona, they won't promise him a starting position, but they will offer him something more precious: a project where he can grow, compete, and develop in a context that respects the ball and tactical intelligence above media noise. From an economic point of view, Barcelona is aware that it cannot enter into absurd bidding wars. The club manages its planning with prudence, without waste or impulsive transfers. But in the case of Carreras, it has been decided to make an effort, not a reckless one, but a firm bet, because this is not just any transfer, it is a statement of intent. It is showing that even in this context, the club has the margin to compete and, above all, that it still has footballing and emotional arguments that weigh in the balance. When a player has offers from several European giants and chooses Camp Nou, it is because something is being done right. In the offices of Benfica, it has already been communicated that Barcelona is ready to pay a sum close to 20 million euros for the transfer, a fair amount for a player with international projection who has performed at a very high level in an increasingly competitive championship like the Portuguese League. The Lisbon club knows that it will not be able to retain him much longer, and what seemed to be an operation directed from Madrid has completely changed course. Now, everything indicates that it will be Barcelona who will take the prize. A masterstroke that, if it materializes, will highlight those who still believe that one only recruits with checkbooks. But beyond the provocation that snatching a transfer from Real Madrid represents, something that excites Barcelona supporters like few other things, the important thing is what Carreras can bring to the team. He is a fullback who does not settle for defending but interprets spaces, knows when to overlap, when to fall back, and when to surprise at the far post. His speed over long distances and his reading of the game make him an ideal player for a system based on possession but with quick transitions, and his competitive mentality and hunger for victory make him a very valuable profile for a young and ambitious locker room like the one being formed at Camp Nou. Hansi Flick, for his part, is delighted with the possibility of having a player with these characteristics. The German coach did not come to improvise. He wants a balanced, dynamic squad with options in all positions and real internal competition. And for that, he needs footballers like Carreras, young but with experience, character, and the desire to conquer the world. It is no surprise that the coach has been so clear in his support for the transfer. He knows that players like him are key in a project that aspires not only to compete in Spain but also to regain its place among the great teams of Europe. Among Barcelona supporters, the news has been received with enthusiasm, and it is not without reason. It has been a long time since there was an operation in the market where the club not only competes but snatches, where it not only acts but imposes. Stealing a transfer from Madrid is not just a tactical victory, it is a show of authority. It is a reminder that this badge still carries weight, that this club, despite the difficulties, has not lost its appeal or its power of seduction. And all this is achieved not with empty promises but with credibility, a clear plan, and the conviction that this is where players grow, learn, and leave their mark. The direct question to ask the supporters is, what do you think about the possible arrival of Carreras? Isn't it a sign that things are changing? That this new project is not coming just to survive, but to compete? Isn't this the kind of move that gives hope, excites, and makes you hold your head high and believe again? Because transfers like this not only bring talent, they also feed pride. They also send a message to the rivals. We are here, we are alive, and we have no intention of giving ground. Carreras is ready to make the leap, and Barcelona is ready to welcome him. All that remains is to finalize the last details, but the path is set, and if all goes well, Camp Nou will experience in the coming days an arrival that can mark a before and after. Because here, when a player wants to come and the club believes in him, destiny is usually fulfilled, and Alvaro knows it. That is why he has chosen well, because it is not just any club, it is Barcelona, and this transfer can be the first of many steps towards a future filled with light, football, and greatness. The second piece of news concerns an important decision within the club. Marc's future at Barcelona is reaching an inevitable turning point. A pivotal moment that marks the end of an era and the beginning of another. After years of memorable performances, saves etched in the memory of supporters, and an undeniable commitment to the badge, the time seems to have come for both parties to take different paths. This is not a sudden breakup. It is not a betrayal of the club, nor an internal problem born of conflicts. It is simply the natural evolution of a project seeking to reinvent itself to return to the pinnacle of footballing elite. In this transformation, which has been prepared from the management offices, every strategic move must be supported by reason, ambition, and the unwavering will to place the club above individual names, even when those names have been the protagonists of glorious nights and have left an indelible mark on the institution's history. Marc's case is a clear reflection of this delicate transition between deep gratitude for the past and strategic planning for the future. 4 years, Marc has been synonymous with security in goal. His arrival at Barcelona coincided with a time when the team needed unwavering defensive solidity, inspiring leadership from the goal, and, above all, someone capable of withstanding the immense pressure of a badge that demands excellence match after match. And he answered this call brilliantly. Not only did he shine with spectacular performances, but he did so with astonishing regularity, impeccable professionalism, and a deep connection with the club's style of play, which propelled him to the top, making him one of the best goalkeepers in the world in his position. His ability to play with his feet, anticipate actions, and his agility to make impossible saves made him a fundamental pillar of the team for years of success and challenges. However, football, like life itself, is in constant evolution and transformation. What was valid in the past is not necessarily valid in the present or future. And now, the club is working on new tactical needs, a different player profile for the goalkeeper position, and a completely renewed structure. The change on the bench with the arrival of a German coach who bets on even more intense pressure on the opponent's field, faster and more vertical ball play, and a more advanced defense requires deep adjustments in the squad, and one of these adjustments inevitably involves the goalkeeper, the first link in the construction of play and the last defensive barrier. This new scheme requires a goalkeeper with even more precise ball distribution under pressure, capable of acting almost as a sweeper and with the mentality to lead the defensive line in a more advanced position. The management's intentions are clear and part of a long-term plan. There is an ambitious project that prioritizes the club's economic sustainability, the progressive and orderly renewal of the locker room, and the strategic incorporation of young talents who can grow and develop at the team's pace, ensuring competitiveness in the future. Various options under the goal that can meet these 3 fundamental requirements are being analyzed. A transfer cost that is manageable and in line with the club's financial reality, future projection that guarantees his permanence and growth in the team for years, and full compatibility with the new idea of play that the technical staff seeks to implement. The possible arrival of new goalkeepers, both national and foreign, is an integral part of this path towards a new, fresher, and more dynamic sporting identity. On this meticulous roadmap, Marc's continuity has become a decision that must be carefully considered, without being carried away by sentimentalism, but always with the utmost respect that his invaluable history and contribution to the club deserve. It is not about undervaluing his trajectory but making rational decisions for the greater good of the institution. The management seeks a balance between gratitude towards the pillars of the past and the necessary audacity to build the foundations of the future. A future that allows Barcelona to compete again for all titles with guarantees and solidity. In this complex context, the concrete interest of a club like Monaco arises, which seeks to strengthen its sports project with prominent names, proven experience, and demonstrated leadership. The entity from the Principality, with ambitions to consolidate in League One and compete at the European level, has directly inquired about Marc's situation in recent conversations, and crucially, would be ready to make a significant economic effort to finalize his transfer and make him the pillar of its new era. This option, both personally and sportingly, can be extremely attractive and interesting for the goalkeeper. Firstly, it guarantees him the possibility to continue competing at the highest level in Europe, with assured quality minutes and the undisputed role of leader in a team that clearly intends to fight in the prestigious UEFA Champions League. This ensures continuity in the elite, a crucial factor for any high-level athlete. Secondly, it allows him to stay active and visible for the next World Cup, a fundamental personal and professional goal for any footballer who aspires to represent his national team in the greatest international football event. And thirdly, he finds an environment where his hierarchy, experience, and quality will be valued and necessary, far from the excessive demand and constant scrutiny that often accompany veteran players at Camp Nou, where the pressure for immediate performances is relentless. At Monaco, Marc could find the tranquility and recognition that a player of his stature deserves in the final stage of his career. To all Cules, the inevitable and profound question arises: are we ready to see a legend like Marc leave? And does this mean collectively moving towards a better and more promising future for the club? Are we ready to say goodbye to one of our own with honor, respect, and gratitude so that the team can rejuvenate, balance its accounts, and compete with the freshness and ambition that the football elite demands? This is the very essence of football, a sport in constant movement and transformation. Nothing is eternal in professional football, except perhaps the unconditional love for these colors, for the badge. And that is why, if Marc's departure materializes, let it be as it should, with the utmost respect for his legacy, with deep gratitude for the years of glory, and with the unwavering conviction that the club, FC Barcelona, does not stop, because beyond individual names, beyond the passing emotions that overwhelm us, what always remains unalterable and eternal is the badge. And it is for this badge, for its history, and for its future, that every decision, even the most difficult and painful, ends up having a transcendent and logical meaning. The third piece of news concerns a major coup for our beloved club. The case of Nico Williams has reached a turning point, and Barcelona is closely following it, aware that the Spanish winger represents not only one of the great opportunities in the summer market, but also an ideal profile for what the club wants to build in the medium and long term. For months, the sports officials of the Catalan club have closely followed every step of the footballer, both at his club and with the national team, and they have not failed to notice the desire he has clearly and privately expressed to play at Camp Nou. This desire is neither new nor superficial. Nico knows the history of Barcelona, feels respect for its philosophy, and is fully aware that, due to his playing style, speed, technique in tight spaces, and maturity in decision-making, he would fit perfectly into a project that bets on youth, verticality, and tactical commitment. The player's willingness is there, and at this stage of the transfer window, that already says a lot. However, not everything depends on enthusiasm. The Catalan club has shown genuine interest, advanced in conversations, studied formulas, and always tried to establish a line of work based on economic responsibility. Because this new Barcelona, beyond dreams and sporting aspirations, has also learned to keep its feet on the ground. The financial situation is not simple, and although there are operations underway to free up salary mass and generate income, the margin for maneuver remains limited. One cannot repeat the mistakes of the past, and this principle, now more than ever, is rigorously respected. That is why, although the arrival of Nico is considered a strategic move that could immediately elevate the competitive level of the team, it is also clear that no reckless actions can be taken, neither in terms of salary, bonuses, nor contractual structure that would compromise other planning priorities. From the player's entourage, this respect is perceived, and the club's sincerity is appreciated. There have been no empty promises or undue pressures. He has been frankly explained what the situation is that they are trying to resolve, and how he could fit into the project if all the pieces manage to fall into place. Nico, for his part, firmly maintains his desire. Playing for Barcelona is more than a sporting opportunity, it is a personal motivation. He is not simply looking for a high contract or to be the center of media attention in the transfer market. He wants to grow in an environment that values him, where his natural style does not have to be forced, where the ball and intelligence are the priority. And in this regard, few jerseys in the world offer what the Blaugrana jersey offers. It is not just about competing for titles, but doing so while respecting a way of understanding the game, a footballing ethic, a historical responsibility. Bayern's offensive has been forceful. The German club has also detected the potential of the footballer and has presented an economic proposal far superior to what the Catalan club can assume. 12 million net per season is a figure that few clubs in Europe are able to offer today, and even fewer if they seek to preserve their financial stability. This is the big difference between those who have a model based on economic power and those who, like Barcelona, seek to rebuild from balance and coherence. But despite everything, the player has not given an immediate yes, much less, because money counts. Yes, it does. But it is not everything, and this is demonstrated by the fact that Nico, despite having this millionaire offer in his hands, continues to wait for news from Camp Nou, because his priority has not changed and because he knows that there are decisions that mark a career beyond the size of the contract. Inside the club, there is a mix of confidence and tension. Confidence, because it is known that the player wants to come, that he sees in this team a place where he can leave his mark, where his football can reach its best version. And tension, because the times of the transfer market are capricious, and at any moment a different offer, external pressure, or an unexpected turn can complicate everything. The margin for maneuver is short but not non-existent. Work is being done in silence, in coordination between the sports management and the presidency to find the formula that allows the operation to be viable without endangering other needs. And this work is not only financial but also strategic, because recruiting Nico is not just about strengthening a side. It is about betting on a profile that can mark an era, that can multiply offensive options, that can be decisive in transitions, and that, moreover, understands what it means to play in this stadium, with his jersey, with these supporters. The Kuhl fans, demanding as few, have already begun to look at Nico as one of those players who could fit into the new generation that is being formed. He is perceived as someone humble, committed, explosive, but also solid in defense, capable of generating imbalance and deciding matches with isolated actions. He is not expected to be a star in the traditional sense. What is expected is work, tactical discipline, and consistency. And everything indicates that he can offer this without a problem. That is why, if his arrival is finally concretized, he will be welcomed with enthusiasm but also with expectations, because here, whoever arrives knows that they must prove themselves every day, in every match, on every contested ball. In the offices, financial engineering alternatives are already being studied to cover the cost of the transfer, which would not be minor, and also to offer a competitive salary without straying from the established framework. It will not be easy, but it is not impossible. The key lies in the fact that all parties want the same thing. The club wants the player, and the player wants to come. All that remains is for the conditions to align. And if this happens, it will be one of those operations that will be remembered years later as a turning point. Because beyond the economic context, this Barcelona is making an effort to return to building from what made it great. Young talent, tactical commitment, long-term vision, and the ability to attract footballers not only with money but with a history, an idea, a way of living football. Nico knows this, which is why he waits, why he does not let himself be carried away by the figures, why he keeps a cool head and the excitement alive. Because this club, when it focuses on someone, does so because it believes in them, and because here one does not come to stroll, one comes to transcend. He understands this, which is why he continues to wait for that definitive call that will finally bring him closer to the place where he has always wanted to be. If he arrives, it will be a celebrated incorporation, not for the media noise, but for the meaning that his arrival takes. Because Nico represents the type of footballer who makes his teammates better, who respects the ball, who understands the game from the collective. And this is what Barcelona needs most right now.